Good morning and welcome to Temple Buddhist Center's Sunday meditation service. My name is Dave and I'm honored to be of service this morning. We hope that our service finds you happy and healthy, but please know that if you're struggling in any way, we hope that Temple Buddhist Center can be a source of refuge for you as we open our hearts to you and your loved ones. Before we get started today, Victor asked that we just take a moment today to hold him in our hearts as he's taken some time off to honor the passing of his mother. Let's begin this morning with some conscious breath work, taking a few moments to ground, to experience the body, and to breathe together. Conscious breathing is where you seal the mouth, breathe deeply through the nose, pause for a moment, and then exhale slowly so that the exhale is longer than the inhale. Let's begin. Breathing in, pausing just a moment, feeling the fullness of the lungs, and releasing slowly. And as you release, checking in with the body, just being aware of what is present and alive in the body right now. And a second conscious breath. Pausing just a moment, ventilating this precious human form, and releasing slowly. And as you release, see if you can release any worry or concerns from the week, all the energy of doing, going, striving, accomplishing. Just allow yourself a few moments to cultivate the energy of being, not doing. And a third conscious breath together. Holding for just a moment, and releasing slowly. And as you release, taking time to invite into your awareness the present moment, fully arriving in the here and now. Here at Temple Buddhist Center, we like to begin our service with a chant. Chanting is an integral part of every tradition, and it's not about being a singer, it's about having a voice. Our chant today is Om Ami Dewa Ze. Om Ami Dewa Ze. This is a chant that enhances compassion for all beings. And don't forget to include yourself, because as the Buddha said, if your compassion does not include yourself, it's incomplete. Let's take another conscious breath. Together. Om Ami Dewa Ze. Om Ami Dewa Ze. Om Ami Dewa Ze. Om Ami Dewa Om Ami Dewa Ze. With a smile. Om Ami Dewa Ze. Om Ami Dewa Ze. Once more. Om Ami Dewa Ze. Here at Temple Buddhist Center, we practice Western Buddhism, a blend of Eastern philosophy and Western psychology. This new and exciting form of spirituality is dynamic, inclusive, active, and focuses on core Buddhist insights as well as mindfulness, meditation, and their practical application in our daily life. Our goal here isn't to get everyone to agree on one lineage or philosophy. Rather, it's on cultivating a shared experience of mindfulness, oneness, and love. Whether we are chanting together, meditating, or sharing from the heart, we respect that you will participate only at the level that feels comfortable for you. We take refuge in the three jewels and acknowledge these core values as expressions of the awakened mind, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. We value awareness of our own Buddha nature as well as the Buddha nature of all beings, allowing a new perspective of this and every precious moment. The second jewel is the Dharma, the truth teachings that release us from fear and delusion and help us to realize the true nature of who we are. And Sangha, our spiritual community. This is an essential part of growth where we practice the teachings together and support each other along every step of the path. Let's take a moment now to silence any electronic devices and prepare a meditative environment. And we will recite the prayer of refuge. We'll recite it together 3 times in honor of the 3 jewels. Together, in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. As we prepare now for a time of meditation, if you have an extensive practice, then I invite you to practice in a way that's fitting for you this morning. If you're new to meditation, we'll begin with an opening dedication. We will sound the bell 3 times. There will be a brief guided meditation, and then we'll spend approximately 10 to 12 minutes in noble silence. Let's begin by breathing together. Body, speech, and mind in perfect oneness. I send my heart with the sound of the bell. May the hearers awaken from forgetfulness, transcend the path of anxiety and sorrow, and realize the true nature of who they are.
As the sound of the bell recedes into the silence, we follow it with our attention, following the sound into the deep silence within our own being. Beyond simply being quiet, beyond simply sitting still, we go to this place deep within us that is at peace, that knows and that loves eternally. We touch that being, that Buddha, that innate goodness that is the core, the center of our being. And once we touch that center, our work is simply to be present. We sit as the Buddha sits, meeting each experience with peace, with kindness, with an open hand and an open heart. Everything that arises in the mind, thoughts, emotions, desires, in the body, sensations, feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, hearing, sensing the body, feeling the body in the chair, on the cushion, everything that comes into the field of our awareness, we meet with peace, with kindness, with compassion. Breath by breath, moment by moment, we make peace with ourselves. We make peace with the world. We make peace with all that is. Just being here now, meeting each moment in peace, gratitude. At this time, I invite you to simply become aware of what's on the screen of your awareness right now. What am I feeling, thinking, sensing? What's my relationship to it? Am I making peace with each moment? So as we prepare to end our formal meditation, I urge you to continue the practice, hearing, sensing the body, thinking and feeling. And in a moment, you'll hear the sound of the bell. And as you hear that, I invite you to gently open your eyes and include seeing in your practice, coming into the external world, fully present to each of the senses. Now here's the sound of the bell. Thank you, Dave. Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Nice to see you here. Nice to be here with you. I'd like to just take a moment to honor Victor and his mother, who passed just a couple of days ago. So he's taken some time off. And I invite you to join me in holding him in your heart. And surrounding him with peace, with healing, with love. Thank you for that. During the Vietnam War, back in the late 60s, early 70 period, there was an American writer and a poet and artist named Paul Reps that was living in Japan at that time. And as it turned out, his visa ran out before he was ready to leave. So he applied for a one-year visa at the consulate in Japan. They told him it would take 30 days at least, no exceptions. So Reps returned 3 days later with the papers and submitted the requisite papers. And at the last minute, he decided to write a poem, a haiku, right on the immigration or the visa form. And he wrote, "Drinking a bowl of green tea, I stopped the war." Well, the officer looked at that. He said, "Come back tomorrow." Instead of a month, he said, "Come back tomorrow." And so Reps came back the next day and was granted his visa, only it was a 5-year visa rather than a 1-year visa. So he commented, it's interesting what one poem can do for you. And of course, it's not the words, but it's what is meant behind the words. And that's what I want to talk about today, about the symbolism of drinking tea and stopping the war. And also seeing that it's much more than symbolism. At some level, it's very real. Drinking tea, typically in Japan, in the East, is a symbol of a couple of things. Number one is camaraderie, drinking tea with another person. And the other is that of mindfulness and tradition, paying close attention to every aspect of fixing tea. It's a ritual that's practiced often in Japan and in Zen temples all over the place, that making tea is symbolic of a simple, very human, mundane task, but done with great mindfulness and great care and great intention, you see. And that's the part that stops the war. That's the part that I want to talk about, how, quote, drinking tea, how being present to each experience can stop the war within ourselves, can stop the war amongst ourselves, and amongst nations, eventually. Much of the time, we're not aware of a war. It's more of a Cold War. And we may not be actively fighting with ourselves, but we're aware of being discontent or anxious or, feeling out of sorts in one way or another. This is probably the norm for most of us. Blaise Pascal was a Frenchman that was a scientist, a philosopher, brilliant individual. He died way too soon. I remember studying him in mathematics class and physics class, and ultimately in philosophy class too. And he died at age 39, and yet he contributed much to all three fields. And he said something very interesting and very startling, actually. He says, all of humanity's problems stem from our inability to sit quietly in a room alone for 30 minutes. That's quite a statement. All of humanity's problems stem from, he said, man's inability, I'm saying our inability, to sit quietly in a room alone for 30 minutes. So, why is it so difficult for many of us, most of us, maybe all of us, to sit quietly in a room alone, doing nothing for 30 minutes? Well, it's because when we sit alone, we sit quiet, we become aware of that war that's within us. We become aware of the struggles, the conflict, the feelings I don't like, the thoughts that I don't like, my judgments about myself and others. All of those show up when I simply sit alone in an empty room. So it's very interesting that because we have created a culture that is based upon distraction, we have found a way to avoid looking at ourselves. And so we stay distracted, we stay asleep, and we keep on creating war. So Because of our culture of distractedness, because of our unwillingness, and I say our, I'm talking about humanity really, not any specific person, but all of us humans. Because we have been unwilling to face the inner war, we have created a world full of violence. There are wars at so many different levels. Within the individual, within the home, within the family, within the neighborhood. I mean, on the streets of our city, there's a war going on. Understand? How do we stop the war? Well, we start by becoming aware of how our distractedness is causing us to pay a big price. The price of violence and conflict. Denial and suppression push violence into the unconscious. And when something is repressed, it's going to show up in the world around us, either through projection or through our acting out. You see. Nothing disappears. We can sweep it under the rug for a while, but it's going to come crawling out sooner or later. Ralph Waldo Emerson, in his essay on history, he writes, "The world exists for the education of each person. There is no state of society or event in history in which there is not something corresponding in our own life. We should see that we can live all of history within our own life. The world exists for the education of each individual." So we are the microcosm. The world is the macrocosm. There's a reflective aspect here. It works both ways. You know, if we're in a violent culture, it's likely to bring up the violence within us. If we have violence within us, we're likely to create a violent culture. So it works both ways. Living in the present moment without any agenda, simply making peace, will bring up any unconscious wars that are going on within us. Living in the present takes us deeper into the unconscious, where most of the wars are taking place, are going on. We pushed them into the unconscious a long time ago, maybe even when we were children. You know, we were at war with our parents, only it wasn't safe to go to war with your parents, so stuff it. But it's still there, in one form or another. A crude analogy, I say crude, but I think it's effective. Just imagine you have a two-story home, and on the second floor, you're having a wild and raucous party. Having a good time, very loud, very distracted. And on the first floor of your home, thieves are breaking in, stealing your furniture, your television, all that you own, while the party continues upstairs, you see. if we can quiet ourselves, if we can stop the party long enough and listen, we become aware of what's going on at a deeper level. And we can perhaps do something about it before it may be too late. Maybe too late. How can we end the war between two intractable enemies? Maybe they've been enemies for centuries. Let's just say, hypothetically, we could get two people, A and B, whatever nation, label, whatever you want to put on it. But there's great, great animosity between the two. And so we sit them down facing each other. One looks at the other, says, I hate you. You know, I want to murder you. I want to destroy you. The other looks back and says, and I hate you, and I want to destroy you, and I want to cut your body up and feed it to the dogs. So this is going on, back and forth. So if we can simply observe without judgment, we could ask the question, is there any common ground between these two persons? They seem to be so very different, foreign. Is there any common ground? Well, there is. What's the common ground? They both hate each other. All right? So you hate me and I hate you? Let's explore this experience of hate. Let's have a cup of tea and you tell me about your hate and I'll tell you about mine. When I start talking about my hate, instead of acting it out, then I begin to feel my fear. And then when I begin to feel my fear, I stay present to it. I begin to feel abandonment or vulnerability or whatever. And pretty soon, both parties are looking at each other through tear-stained eyes. Very much in accord, feeling grief. Grief is what can bring us home to the most basic humanness that we are. And when we're in that place, with no agenda, simply being with it, drinking tea with it, so to speak, there can be no war. There could be no conflict. Because I've let go of everything I thought I was. And if you let go of everything you think you are, then what's left? Us as we truly are. And when we are sitting in our naked authenticity, war is unthinkable. I mean, it doesn't even show up because there's only us. You see, I mean, one finger doesn't go to war with the other. One hand doesn't go to war with the other. It's all part of us, you see. If we were more tear-thirsty, maybe we'd be less bloodthirsty. If we could see and realize, taste our opponent's tears, our enemy's tears, we'd find those tears are no different than our own. They taste the same, probably have Same chemical composition, I would bet. Right? This same process can be done within ourselves. If you find yourself at war, let's say there's a part of you that wants to be real big and express yourself. There's another part of you that's saying, shut up. You're going to get me in trouble, So you got these two pieces. So it's the same process. Sit them down to a cup of tea. Let them talk to each other. Let them explore their conflict. I hate you. I'm afraid of you. I feel scared. I feel lonely. I feel sad. I feel sad. It's like grief is like melting two ice cubes. If you get two ice cubes, they're two separate objects, right? But what happens when you warm them up just a little bit? They come together, you say. And you can go to war with two chunks of ice, but you can't go to war with two drops of water. Drinking a cup of tea, I stopped the war. In this moment and each moment. And I'd like to close with just a little take on John Lennon and Imagine. If you could imagine all of the world's enemies sitting down, drinking tea, being present to their experience, simply being with what is, and being willing to share. This is what is for me. How is it for you? May you live in peace. May all beings live in peace.
Let's just take a moment now to embody the teachings before we move into our heart practice meditation. And today's heart practice is a metta practice. Some people like to create an outward gesture for this. You can place one hand or both hands over your heart. Some people like to make the Anjali Mudra, the prayer hands, which is a focusing of the heart energy. Or you can simply place your hands on your lap with your palms facing outward. And we'll start by taking a conscious breath. And as you release that breath, bring to mind a full body image of you. Holding this image of yourself in your mind, silently repeat these words of metta. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be safe from inner and outer dangers. May I be well in body and mind. And may I be at ease and happy. A conscious breath. And as you release release that breath, bring to mind the image of a friend or a loved one. And holding that picture in your mind, let's send that person metta. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. And may you be at ease and happy. A conscious breath. And as you release that breath, bring to mind the image of someone you don't know very well. Could be somebody you just met, or maybe someone you just saw in passing. And holding that person's image in your mind, may you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind, and may you be at ease and happy. And a conscious breath. And as you release that breath, bring to mind the image of a difficult person in your life. It could be a boss, a neighbor, a coworker, a family member. Recognizing that even the most difficult people are still worthy of loving kindness, let's send them metta. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. And may you be at ease and happy. And a conscious breath. And as you release that breath, bring to mind an image of the world. All the plants, the trees, and all the animals of the land, the sea, and the sky. And don't forget to include yourself. And holding this picture in your mind, may we all be filled with loving kindness. May we all be safe from inner and outer dangers. May we all be well in body and mind. And may we all be at ease and happy. And a conscious breath. As you release that breath, open your eyes and smile. And in the true spirit of dana, the Buddhist practice of generosity, temple services are given freely. In the same way, if you choose to give, please give with a generous heart, meaning not in return for anything that you've received, but so that others who may seek refuge may find it here in this temple. Dana boxes are located at the back of the meditation hall and upstairs near the door. Thank you to all of our wonderful volunteers, and thank you to our TBC ambassadors, those who have committed to regular electronic donations. It's not about the amount, it's just that the monthly giving helps us to set a budget here at TBC. If you would like to become an ambassador, just point your camera at the QR code on the cards in the seat backs in front of you, or you can come by our website at templebuddhistcenter.com. Thank you to Robert for sharing your wisdom with us here today. And thank you to Rochelle for your beautiful music. And thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us today and sharing your heart and your practice with us. We certainly are the better for it. And we will now recite the bodhicitta dedication, which will formally end our service. And then if you can stick around for just a couple of minutes, we do have some announcements. So, the bodhicitta dedication together. May the pure, brilliant sun of bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion unstoppably until all are illumined and awakened. And with our hands together in front of our hearts, let us go forth from this place, entering each moment in innocence, guided by the wisdom of our hearts. And as we open our hands, open our eyes, shine our light into the world, namaste. Don't forget, we do have crumble cookies as well as tea and coffee, and I've heard there's also the Chiefs game on down there. Downstairs in Temple Space. So go ahead and stop by down there, get some cookies and coffee, and make some friends. Interplay is happening today at 1 o'clock. I'm pretty sure it's still downstairs in Temple Space. Interplay is a chance for adults to learn how to play again. And if you haven't had a chance to check that out, I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. We do have a silent retreat coming up. If you're interested in signing up for that, the registration is open on templebuddhistcenter.com. And let's see. Oh, nonviolent communication. This is a new thing that is just getting started. If you're interested, there should be some flyers out front on the counter. And let's see, what else we got? Tai Chi Cha every Tuesday. Oh, okay, and I'll just keep moving then. Growing your practice every second and fourth Sunday. That's a chance for people for maybe not so much beginners, but not someone who would be like a guru type, but intermediate practitioners. It's a good way to expand your practice and maybe get over any sticking points that you have. And don't forget, sign up for the newsletter and volunteer opportunities. Sign-up sheets are out front on the counter. And the TBC store is open. Thank you, Liz. Lots of cool stuff there. And I'll leave this up so you can check that out and take a picture if you need to. And Robert said he does have an announcement.
This is the last Sunday to sign up for the... Hang on. She's giving me my voice. This is the last Sunday to sign up for the DPS, the Dedicated Practitioner Sangha. If you're interested, sign up and we'll get back with you and tell you more about it. There's a description sheet out there. The textbook that we are working with used to be out there. Somebody decided to start the class early, I guess. They took the book. But anyway, if you're interested, sign up and we'll get back to you around that. So the sheet's right out on the hospitality desk out there.
All right, thank you, Robert. And I believe that's all we have.
Don't tell me the score.
So if anybody else has any announcements, we can.
I would like to say one little quick thing. He brought that up. So for those of us who are recording the Chiefs game, please don't let us know what the score is. So please respect those folks who are waiting to watch the game. So
All right, and I think that's all we have. Don't forget the lending library is up here, so come on up and check that out. And with that, I wish you all peace and blessings, and since they're playing in Germany, gehen Sie Chiefen.
yeah.
See, I was just sitting here, I was like, she looks really familiar, and I